Hello and welcome to Below the Line. Happy Memorial Day weekend in the US. Happy Mission Impossible Lilo Stitch release day. I'm here with my good friend Zach Houston Scott. By the way, my name is Andres Ramirez, but I have a feeling you already know that. How are you, man?
Doing pretty good. If they don't know who you are by this point, well, that's on them.
Yeah, it's the start of the summer season, maybe, maybe not.
Yes, this is the start of the Hollywood summer season. So now we're going to start getting all the big action, drama, all the summer blockbusters that we're going to talk about. And yeah, stay cool in those big movie theaters. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited.
So two big movies came out this weekend. Both seem very mixed with the critics, but before we start talking about that, I actually wanted to talk about something that potentially involves December of next year and involves a movie you know well, Ice Age, now has a big
Mhm.
competition. What are your thoughts on Avengers Doomsday getting delayed all the way to December? And is this the first Marvel release in December? Not counting No Way Home.
So yes, that is pretty big news, specifically too for Ice Age. I will say though that it is very much smart of Disney to be putting that in the holiday season, mostly because really they just started filming a week ago, and for them to essentially get everything ready by May of
In a
next
year.
year would have been tough. And there's still actors we don't know that are going to be a part of these movies. And we don't even know exactly, like, if they can get them all. And the VFX work needs more time. Like, it was definitely a needed push, and especially I think to help clean house a little bit, since apparently a lot of untitled Marvel movies also got their dates pulled. But who knows, maybe we'll see something at San Diego Comic Con just to get an idea about how it's going to end up looking. I also think they're taking advantage too of like the last couple Decembers, since we've always had like a Star Wars or
Avatar.
Avatar, some other movie that's really helped. Like even Mufasa last Christmas had really strong legs. So it makes sense that after this year and whenever the next Avatar does end up coming out after this one, Fire and Ash. Yeah, I think I'm really excited to see it as well too. Like May of 2026 was already a pretty packed month as is. Like we had not just like a Star Wars movie coming out with Mandalorian and Grogu, but also the
Is
release
that
of Grand Theft
shot?
Auto 6. What was that?
Well, is Mandalorian and Grogu shot? Like, have they shot that movie?
Oh yeah, nope, they're in post production now. They have shot everything they could with it.
I mean, I guess Pedro Pascal is not in that movie. I know he is the voice, but he is not shooting that one, right?
I don't think so. I've been seeing him in a lot of interviews, among other things. So I don't think he's on set. He's probably just doing like some post production work, if that makes any sense.
Or he might be a glorified day on set, like where he needs to be there for a very emotional scene. I know it's interesting. Do you think the delays in it's a good sign, or should fans be worried
I think it's a
about?
good sign, personally. And we'll get a Spider Man movie before that. And I think that'll relieve a couple people because they thought it was going to be like this middle ultimate, like, multiverse story, but now they can potentially do something a little more grounded, if that makes sense.
Well, that's to be seen, right? Because Sony can definitely move it. I guess May of 2027.
Maybe.
Uh, because I know Spider-Man, the next Spider-Man, Brand New Day. I think that's what it's called. It was supposed to
Yeah.
be a prequel to Secret Wars or set up Secret Wars, but now does that mean Spider-Man will get super pushed? Um, I'm just more interested about the repercussions that this could have with other studios. Like that December we have Shrek 5, Dune. The Last Dune, which I guess they're pushing for Oscar consideration because it might be the last one, and The Lord of the Rings, Hunt for Gollum.
Oh yeah,
Like,
I forgot that one was coming there too.
I think it's gonna. I think the other studios might be very pissed with Disney and how they're handling things. But I agree that May was very packed. Although I'm curious to see who will take that date. Maybe James Gunn can take it
You think so for his next DC movie?
for the Batman or Batman or whatever.
Oh, Batman Part 2 is not coming till 2027, so we've got
Isn't
plenty
that
of
thing cancelled?
time. I don't know. I don't want it to be. I hope it's not canceled.
The thing is, I sort of feel the whole thing has to be more, I guess, intertwined. Like, it's been like what, 5 years by the point that thing comes out, 7 years, you know? Like, I don't know. I sort of feel like either they get that thing out or they're going to need more TV shows to keep the momentum going.
But people forget too, as well, that the time between The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises was 4 years. So I'm used to waiting a lot of time between Batman movies. Even like Batman Begins and The Dark Knight was 3 years. So, I mean, if they need a little bit more time to make this as great as possible, then take it. So I'm not really too worried about what's going to come next.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I think Kevin Feige is feeling the pressure, and maybe Thunderbolt's box office reception kind of made them make this decision because, well, it's not a flop per se, it's also not been very successful in the box office, despite its good critics and the good word of mouth. I guess we'll have a better picture between now and the summer superhero movies, whether it's Marvel fatigue or superhero fatigue, based on how Fantastic Four and what's other Superman perform at the box office.
Yeah, no, I think Superman will do well. Fantastic Four, I'm really hoping because, I mean, it's not the lead into Avengers anymore. Spider Man is, but I mean, it still is a pretty big movie that's going to be a stepping stone for the next ones. And like just looking at the Wikipedia now, there being only 4 films in Phase 6 and more TV shows. That's
Oof.
a little concerning, but we'll see. Maybe they'll announce more. Who knows?
I mean, can Daredevil come out before Avengers? Like
Season
season
2?
two? Yeah. I mean, they're already shooting
Maybe.
it in New York, right?
Yeah, they are. They are. We'll see.
I mean, it would be smart
It would
because
be.
it would be a year without content. And I'm not sure how healthy the IP is. Like, are people going to miss it? But it's an interesting thought. I mean, seems like it's kind of working for Star Wars. I don't know if you're aware of the Battlefront 2 rising gaming in players. Have you heard about this?
No, I haven't.
So, you know about the whole fiasco with Battlefront 2, the EA version of Battlefront 2, right?
Yeah, I do.
Like
I
how
do.
it was horrible at launch and then the developers kind of fixed it by adding Clone Wars content and stuff like that. So apparently, after May the 4th, after the re-release of Revenge of the Sith and the good word of mouth of Andor Season 2, Battlefront 2 is back. And apparently this weekend, 100,000 players with all platforms combined, like by that I mean PlayStation, Steam, and Xbox, are going to be playing the game, trying to convince Lucasfilm and EA to bring Battlefront 3 back from the dead.
That
Uh,
would be awesome. Yeah, finally we got a proper Battlefront 3. So, yeah, here's hoping that's still good.
because apparently it is, I guess, the 10th best selling, no, the fifth best selling game on the PlayStation Store, at least in the US. And it's an 8-year old game, which is crazy, but I don't know. It's an interesting sort of news development that I've been following closely. Uh, I don't know. I just think it's interesting that a game that people didn't want is now super popular. But yeah, I just didn't know if you were aware of that.
No, I wasn't. Thank you for telling me that. That'll just get me hyped for the next couple years, depending on whatever Star Wars game we're getting, because apparently it's just Eclipse that we haven't heard much about.
Well, there's a remake, right? The Knights of the Old Republic remake,
Oh, that
right?
thing's never seen the light of day. That
Well,
thing's no.
that would be cool if it was still canon, but it's technically Legends, right? So I don't know. It's one of those things where Disney has managed to screw the franchise, but they kind of want to fix it. But I guess James Earl Jones' family is the one that is the happiest having his boys say really funny things in Fortnite.
Yeah,
If you
that's
know, you know. If you
yeah,
know, you know. So what should we talk first? You introduce the topic, my friend.
definitely. So we're kicking off our first summer reviews with Lilo and Stitch, and we're going to talk about probably the history of Mission Impossible and thoughts on Dead Reckoning or Final Reckoning. Sorry, it was originally supposed to be Dead Reckoning Part Two,
Part
but now
two.
it's the
Have
Final
you seen
Reckoning.
both?
I Yes, I did. So I am happy to talk about both of them. Have you seen both of them, or just Lilo and?
I saw Mission Impossible last Sunday in
Oh
an early
yes, you did.
screening. Yeah, I've seen both. You choose where we start. It was your birthday week, so you choose, my friend.
Thank you. I will choose Lilo and Stitch. Why?
Oh,
Because I have a little bit more attachment and a little bit more to say than Mission Impossible.
the floor is yours.
So yeah, it's another Disney remake. One this time of something probably we both grew up in because it was a 2002 original. I have been hyping it in past weeks, just
You
getting
have,
excited and
you
talking
have,
about
you
it.
have.
And the end result is it is okay. It is a solid seven, 6.5, because it does a few things I kind of wish it didn't for a remake, mostly toward the third act. But that's not to say there weren't changes I enjoyed. But even with that being said, this is a movie that I feel is very much a product of when it got promoted from its Disney Plus release to theatrical. I think they had to go back in and trim it or do something to make it theatrical, because the way the film is comprised of its edits and the way it's cut is very choppy, and they're definitely trying to make it to the point more than maybe it was supposed to be, because it definitely was a very choppy experience. It was quick from the start. It didn't let up for the majority of the movie. And I mean, to the film's credit, it does look nice. Like, this is money was thrown into it. Like, the CGI Stitch was really cute. The other aliens too, I really like to see how they turned out, except one, which I think you can guess who. And I just liked seeing Hawaii and just them explore the whole land and seeing Lilo and Stitch get up to stuff. So I will say too, it is better than Snow White, and it's not the
Oh,
worst
for
way to kill
sure,
an afternoon.
for
Oh yeah,
sure,
no, no,
for
definitely will
sure,
take this over Snow White any day.
for sure. It's better than Snow White. Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I mean, have you seen the original film recently?
Yes, I rewatched it before going to see the remake.
So, because I watched that film last night, so I am very fresh on both. I wanted to ask you, how was the performance of the little girl in English? Because I saw it dubbed in Spanish, so I couldn't tell how was her performance genuinely. Obviously, because this is a kids' movie, it's only dubbed here in Mexico, and the only time I actually heard their voices is when they're singing in a particular scene in the film. So, how was that performance? Like, did it carry the film as much as other critics are saying?
Yeah, no, she's a really cute little girl. Takes direction well, I think. No, I would like to see more of her in other roles if Disney decides to do something, or even other studios, because I thought she was really especially to act with really nothing there, like the CGI Stitch in most scenes. And she holds her own very well. I think definitely captures a lot of the spirit and a lot of just what the original Lilo was, and has a really good dynamic with her sister, who I also really liked. I liked that their dynamic was similar but a little different, if that makes any sense. I thought they both played each other well.
Yeah, I mean, I did believe they were sisters. I didn't like the changes they did to Nani. Um, regarding that she's now a marine biologist. That was not something in the original. I did not like that change because, like, there was nothing where she was remotely curious about Stitch. Whether she believes he's an alien or not, at least he is like a new species because he doesn't look like a dog, nor behaves like a dog in the film. He behaves like a monster, and she's never curious about him as a species. I guess it sets up the ending very well, if you know what I mean.
No,
Uh,
definitely, definitely.
but yeah, to the film's credit, it's way, way better than Snow White, which I guess it's a curious lesson for Disney because in many ways, this one sort of felt like, respect the original and you'll have good results. But going back to the budget, do you think it's obviously going to make its money back because this thing only cost $100 million, right? But do
Oh
you
yeah,
think it should
it'll be
have
the
been
highest grossing
more
film of the
expensive?
weekend. Pardon?
Do you think it should have had more budget to accurately portray the original film even better?
Well, I wanted to say yes, but then when you think about the logic of bringing it in live action and seeing those aliens like dressed up instead of the human disguises, it does make a little bit more sense. And I mean, they do have to save the money for the full CGI character that they have on screen with Stitch. But I mean, like, I did think it was worth the money that they spent. Like, I'm
Of
not gonna
course.
say, oh yeah, no, this definitely should have cost less or more. I'm like, no, 100 million, that's a fair budget. That's definitely something that, a little bit more controlled than say Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, where that was like almost 400 million, or even like Mission Impossible, where that was up 400 million. So no, I think this is reasonably budget for Hollywood, especially filming on the US land. And yeah, I think it overall shows like it looks nice. It's a very good looking film. With that being said, some of the aliens don't translate well into live action, and I think you know what I'm referring to.
I think I know, but I was going to say it's interesting because do you know how much money Stitch merchandise grew in 2024 for Disney?
Oh, a lot. It's insane. He's like, I don't know, billion-dollar character, like top 10 of their franchises that they pull annually for merchandise alone. Like, you go to the Disney store, you see him, you see his girlfriend from the TV show Angel. Like, you don't pay money to go and get Lilo merchandise. You get the blue guy because he just has a recognizable face.
So Stitch made Disney $2.6 billion in 2024.
That's crazy.
So I'm just like intrigued by the fact that they didn't invest like, $150 million on the character. Because, well, I like the movie. One of the criticisms that I have is I don't think he's in the movie that much. Like, there's a huge emphasis on the human characters, and he's not in the movie that much. Like, the movie is 20 minutes longer than the original, but I'm not really sure where they added the material, if you know what I mean.
Well, most of the material went to just kind of that one scene at the wedding, and I mean, Lilo and Stitch getting up to more trouble, and I mean, the climax is completely different. Like, I think it went on a little longer than the first movie, so I think that's where all the time really added up.
Yeah. Should we talk minor differences between the animated and this one?
Well, yes, I mean, will that be counting spoilers, or should we just tell everyone like the
I
minor
mean,
stuff?
I mean, Don't people know how it ends by this
Well,
point?
yeah, but I guess
Uh,
the biggest change would be like I think people know that the original movie's kind of villain Gantu isn't in it. Instead, his role is kind of switched over to Jumbas, who is straight up a bad guy in this. Like literally, he betrays Pleakley. He basically wants to, like the original, take Stitch in for himself, and then he ends up capturing him, and he basically wants to use him to take over the Federation, which that wasn't the case in the first movie where they just had to get him off the planet.
well, to be fair, in the original, he's bad or the villain up to the point Captain. What's his name? Captain. What?
Gantu, yeah.
Gantu shows up on Earth. Like they have the whole shootout in the home, and then he switches sides immediately, almost right.
Yeah,
And I just thought that was an interesting change, and I don't really know why they did it because
no,
like it was not budget; it was creative decision,
mhm.
which it
No,
felt weird.
it was very weird. It was very, very weird. I don't know. It was an awkward change, and maybe it's because I'm so used to him in the TV show, like him being there and a nice guy and stuff, where him being the villain in the movie is just no. I don't know.
Well, that was one of the changes, but another change that in many ways symbolizes the theme of the film is that Stitch doesn't read the ugly duck.
Oh, I agree with that. I agree
And
wholeheartedly.
and he cannot connect with Lilo in that way because both of them are ugly ducks, and that's what makes them a family.
Yeah, no,
So
I agree. That was a big change.
that scene where he realizes when he's alone in the forest and he realizes that's his family and that both of them are ugly ducks from the original film is not in the film, and I thought that change was very abrupt. I don't know if Disney doesn't have the rights to use the ugly dog anymore. So I don't know. It just felt very weird. But
Well, they should. But even like they remove reference of how Lilo and Nani's parents died too, so it makes kind of why she feeds the fish at the beginning pointless because she mentioned, oh, he controls the weather. Well, cool, but then no mention of like why she does it apart from that acknowledgement in the original. Oh, they were driving and the weather was like really pouring down. Nothing of that instance was here. So
well, that and when she says a joke about her doll, it's not set up because in the original she introduces the doll to her classmates before she gets into the fight, and here that doll is just like a glorified prop. And I guess the biggest change, which I guess it took out the fun, was the whole Elvis Presley montage that is
oh
not in the
yes,
film, which is so iconic by now. I thought that one was something that I missed. But overall, I think it's a very enjoyable film.
I agree. No, you will have a good time. Like I think a lot of people will enjoy it, especially if you like Lilo and Stitch and want to see them again. Like this isn't a bad take on it. It's just not one that I think, people would want to see over and over again. Like these other remakes, like people will want to watch the original again. Just like, you know, I mean, I don't know how many more of these we have left because I know the Moana live action remake is coming next week, and I think
Frozen.
that's the last one, if I'm being honest.
Frozen has to be live action.
That'll
Well,
that'll guarantee $1 billion.
I also think these will have a sequel.
Yeah,
Like Lilo and Stitch will have a sequel. I think it's going to make, I don't know if it's going to make a billion, but I think it's going to make money just because it had a normal budget for once, which is pretty rare for Disney. But I think it's going to have a sequel because I think all of the sudden that brand will be huge again for them. Like in the theme parks and stuff like that. Now they can make another Lilo and Stitch attraction and use this new version as their way to make it relevant again for the theme park
yeah.
industry,
No, I
I
agree.
guess, which is interesting, I guess. I think for me, I just had fun and it was very nostalgic. But looking back at the original last night, I miss that animation, man. It's
Uh,
so the paintings in the background and how they animated it. It's so nostalgic. Like I wish Disney would make a film in that style again. And
Me too. Me too.
to their credit, they still have some films that they can adapt from that area. Atlantis, they could. Treasure Planet, they can. And what is the one with the Yama? I don't know the name of that. The one about the emperor in
The
Peru.
Emperor's New Groove.
Yeah,
Oh, I'd
that one
love to see that. Would
they can
love to
also
see
make that
that
one.
remade.
Uh, but for the sake, I hope they make new original stuff. Because
Oh,
the
so
only reason they have this is because it's original. I wanted to ask you a fun thing that I thought of as I was watching the film. So, do you know that the original film was directed by the same director that directed How to Train Your Dragon?
I did. Chris Sanders. He also voices Stitch.
Well, no. The director of How to Train Your Dragon, the one that is coming out in a few weeks, Dean DeBlois, is the director of Lilo and Stitch.
Oh yes, he's the co-director of it. So no, he it's very ironic that he has two of his movies being brought into live action this year. That he
In the case of How to Train Your Dragon, he's directing that one.
Oh yeah, no, he's more involved with it. And I mean, I'm curious to see how that's going to do cuz so far from what I've seen it's literally just shot for shot, line for line the original but just done in
With
live
persons.
action. Yeah.
Who, I mean, Toothless is Stitch in many ways. He's just like
Yeah.
a dragon way. Who do you think is gonna make more money, Toothless or Stitch?
I think Stitch just because he's more just marketable. Like How to Train Your
He's a dog.
Dragon, yeah, he does well, don't get me wrong, but I feel like it was just kind of an underground series for a long time, How to Train Your Dragon. Like they did make more money as they went on, but it wasn't like the heights of Disney's best, and it's not even
No,
the
I
heights
agree.
of DreamWorks best.
I mean, that's a conversation for another time, but I think they're one of the best DreamWorks films. I think it is the best trilogy made by DreamWorks.
Oh, 100%. I agree with that. 100%.
Because I know people love Shrek, but Shrek 3 is very mixed. But I think the How to Train Your Dragon 3 movies were perfect. Like, the character development was so well done. I just think it's interesting that both characters made by the same people are competing in a few weeks for the same sort of audience. I think How to Train Your Dragon has an edge because he's more team friendly.
Yeah.
But
But we'll
we'll
see.
see.
I mean, How to Train Your Dragon also doesn't have competition in the month of July, so we'll find
Well,
out.
it's June. It has competition.
Sorry, I mean it does with Elio, but I mean compared to like Lilo and Stitch, which really doesn't have competition for the next couple weeks.
That's true. So shall we? Do you choose to accept talking about Mission Impossible?
Yes,
See what
let's
I
talk
did there?
about it. So, yes, what are your thoughts, first of all the Mission Impossible movies, if you've seen them?
I've seen them all, but not recently. I think the series started like any other spy series, like back in the 90s, right? I think the third one, which was directed by J.J. Abrams, kind of kept the franchise alive in many ways. And I think it peaked with Ghost Protocol. Um,
Oh, you think it peaked with Brad Bird? Okay.
yeah, I mean, I think that one was where the film kind of the series became more about the stunts rather than the story itself, if you know what
Yeah.
I mean.
No, I
Because
get what
like
you mean.
he did stunts in the past, but nothing as crazy as climbing off the Burj Khalifa. Like he was in motorcycles and he did the free climbing thing on the Colorado mountains in the second or third. But like that third one, that Ghost Protocol, everybody went to see it because of that sequence alone. I think that was the peak, and that's where the franchise became Tom Cruise does crazy things. Go watch the movies. I think it's a very enjoyable franchise, but I don't think it has had the holding power maybe Tom Cruise wishes it has, if you know what I mean.
No, I get what you mean. Yeah, it's always been like his prime franchise. Like, if all else fails, I can always come back and just make another one of these and it'll do successfully. Because, I mean, he even said early on the reason he was a part of the first one was because he was such a big fan. And, I mean, just looking at that one compared to like where it is now, like the tones are so different, and all the movies that ended up like getting released after that first one just had a different style until he met with Christopher McQuarrie and Rogue Nation, and it just became, his franchise, if that makes any sense.
I
Like
mean,
that he
I
had full
think
control over.
Ghost Protocol still shares a lot of the style that these movies have.
Yeah. But with that being said, with this new one, because I'm in the camp where they did, I liked all the styles at first, and then what he and McQuarrie were doing at first, the films were getting better and better with each installment. But with this one, I feel it fell into the same trappings that the Daniel Craig Bond movies ended up becoming. And that is, they tried to tie everything together. Like, this is all that it was building up to. This is like the grand finale, when the end result really is just another one of these movies. And he could even pop out another one. Like, there's no final reckoning to it other than, yeah, the last one cost too much and underperformed because Barbenheimer came out. So here's,
Well,
one
it
more
was.
Mission Impossible, just saying we concluded it all. This is all meant to connect. Like, remember that virus in the third movie? Yeah, that comes back here. Remember the bad guy from the last one? He's still here. Remember, I don't
Oh,
want to go into spoilers, but there's a character related to another character from the first movie that pops up that, honestly, what's the point? So,
you mean
I
that
don't know.
glorified cameo of the
Yes.
knife
Yes.
with the Russians?
Just, and I
Wait,
get it. He wanted to prove and show that he could still do these stunts, and I'm not denying that. I'm glad he's very passionate and he wants to get people excited again, but this movie just didn't cut it for me, if that makes sense.
so here's the thing. I think these movies, you have to watch it in theaters for
Oh yeah.
two reasons. The underwater sequence in the submarine is fantastic, very tense, and the plane sequence that they've been using to advertise is fantastic. And there's very little dialogue in those sequences, and they're really good. I don't know how they shot it. It's fantastic, from an action point set piece. Do those sequences make sense? No, they don't in the
No,
script, but they're really fun. So I cannot, you know, I
but
cannot fault them for doing
I
that.
again, though, they are cool sequences. I'm not denying that. And the fact that Tom Cruise did actually do them, I applaud him. Like, there's a reason we're getting a stunt Oscar now. And I hope he gets recognized or helps recognize the stunt community as well. But I mean, just when you look at the whole picture, like not just those pieces of this movie, it's really not that good. And it actually, I won't call it my least favorite of the movies because to me, they're all just like one big, action scene of like different, similar themes and characters and stuff like that. But this one just felt like a weak link to a series that, yeah, probably needs to wrap up by this point, being the eighth installment.
So here's the thing. I think. Well, let me ask you the question before I say what I think. Do you think this is the final Mission Impossible film?
No, because obviously he's going to keep making more, but he really would need to scale back because, I mean, the production budget of this thing being 400 million, I don't
Well,
really see that.
let's be fair to the film. He shot this during COVID,
He did, yep.
and he shot this during the two strikes that kind of killed Hollywood. Because he was one of the few actors and producers that was trying to end the strikes when they happened. He was pretty vocal about it. He wanted to
Oh,
go
he
back to
was.
shooting this film. And both of those issues raised the production cost to 400 million. Now, does the film warrant that budget? Yes and no, but I do think the ending leaves it open to another film.
Yeah. The best comparison I can make this movie is, again, I want to say James Bond's Daniel Craig's James Bond, specifically the movie Spectre. Like, you remember that, where it was basically everything that came from the previous movies were all getting tied up in this one, and then they released, No Time to Die to kind of end his character. I feel like that's kind of where we are at with Mission Impossible and Ethan Hunt. Like, yeah, you this was trying to wrap everything up, but I don't think this is the last we'll see of him. And I mean, it's not like the movie wasn't willing to take risks. I mean, again, do you want to give a spoiler or
Well, let's talk spoilers, but let's just finish our non-spoiler thoughts.
okay,
Let's
but
talk
before
spoilers
we
for like
get
5 minutes or something.
oh, for sure. Well, before I will say it does take a risk in one section, but at the end of the day, I don't see like this being like the end all of the series. I feel he's probably going to come back. He might take a break for a bit, but then there'll be another one down the pipe later.
Well, he cannot take a huge break because he's like 60 something. But here's my theory. I think because he has called Glenn Powell, he's a Hollywood star. He was very supportive of Glenn Powell when he did Twister. I think Glenn Powell is going to be his successor in this franchise.
You
Because
think so?
I think Tom Cruise believes on him, on his star power. And I think he has worked with Glenn Powell on Top Gun. And I think he could potentially make him his successor. Because I think in Top Gun, his successor is Miles Teller. Eventually, he will be the successor of his character in Top Gun. The other thing I was gonna say is I think something that made the Mission Impossible fresh is that every film was directed by a new director.
Yes.
And like the Potter movies, how they ended. What's the name of the guy that directed the last
David
Potter?
Yates?
David Yates. I think Christopher McQuarrie has become too used to making these type of films, if you know what I mean.
No, no, I get what you mean.
To
I
the
think
point that his style doesn't feel new or innovative. So I think changing directors really helped this, and I'll be curious to see what Joseph Kaczynski, the one that made Top Gun Maverick, would do in this franchise.
same. I mean, F1 will kind of be the points or kind of proof to see what this guy can do outside of like that sandbox, if that makes sense.
He already did Tron, though.
Oh yeah, he did Tron. I forgot about that.
He
Yeah,
like
and I
he's a
like
very
Tron Legacy.
he's a very under the radar director, I suppose. But I also think the fact that this says a Tom Cruise production, like he's not letting go of that easily. And I don't think Paramount will let him go that easily
No,
because this is pretty much their only franchise alongside Top Gun. Because Star Trek is in a very weird spot as well. So I don't know.
yeah, that's a. We'll have to talk about that at some point. All the movies and shows.
So let's talk spoilers. Spoiler
Yes.
warning. Before we do, I give it like a 6.5 out of 10. I think the first hour is horribly paced, but once you get to the submarine sequence, it's really fun. It's if you can survive that first hour, it's really good. But that first hour is just dreadful and very hard to, you know, digest, I suppose. Because it's like callbacks, exposition, and the
Yeah.
plot doesn't really move forward.
Honestly,
And
I'd give it a 5, but I'll give it a 10 for effort because I do see he was trying. Like, if this is the last one, then it's not the worst way
it's
to go
not.
out. But I won't go out of my way to say this is the epic finale that fans were waiting for, and even for someone like me who just considers them all the same in a sense. But yeah, spoilers, I guess. Let's go into the big one, which is they killed off Vin Grimes. That was shocking.
It was shocking, but it never got paid off.
No, no, it didn't. I think that's what bummed me too. Is that yeah, this is the first one where someone is gone from these movies. Like I know they killed Alec Baldwin in one of them, but he wasn't long enough for to make a lasting impact. But I mean, Luther, he's been around since the first movie, so that was really shocking that they ended up getting rid of him.
Well, also his sacrifice makes no sense whatsoever.
No, it doesn't. It's like Kylo Ren and Rise of Skywalker. Oh, that's another thing I wanted to compare this movie to was Rise of Skywalker. Just annoying fan service and just plot exposition dump after plot exposition dump.
Yeah,
So
come on,
maybe that's why.
it's not as bad as Rise of Skywalker. They didn't have a line like "They fly now, they fly now."
Oh yeah, no, but it just reminded me of it. I'm like, it got close. It never was Rise of Skywalker, but it was almost there.
I mean, it was MacGuffin chase. I'll give you that. I mean, here's the thing: the AI being a villain. Did you like that or not?
No, I didn't even like it in the last movie all that much. And the fact they were continuing this plot thread from that movie, I know it was supposed to be a two-parter, but it was never a good idea to begin with. And they had time to reshoot or rewrite it so that it wouldn't be that kind of focus.
Well, I think the idea of an AI being the villain is interesting in concept, but there is no motivation about why the AI wants to nuke the world, essentially.
Oh, yeah. No, at least like Avengers had a point with Ultron. He was like on the internet for 5 minutes and realized, oh, it's time to obliterate all of humanity. And even to an extent, the Fast and Furious movies did something similar with an AI. And I mean, that wasn't very good either, but I could buy it a
Did
little
they?
more considering how ridiculous they got.
Oh, Jesus, I forgot about that. No, I
Yeah.
mean, I think the AI is interesting in concept, but like, it also makes no sense how it works because, as far as I know, nuke facilities are not online. I mean, isn't that the whole thing that you have to press that red button to launch a nuke? I mean, imagine if they can easily be hacked. Like, I don't know about the realism of the movie. I think it's interesting. And I kind of, because, the first hour they set up like the world is in chaos because AI is creating deepfakes and stuff like that, right? But when we are outside in the world, we really never get to see that world being in chaos. Like,
No, we
everything just
don't.
looks normal, aside from the US president saying, "Oh no, Pakistan has lost control of its nuclear codes. We will have to bomb people soon." But it's like, even if you bomb the world, like, it's still going, the AI still wins. Like, the US solution to fighting this nuclear war was never, it was the same outcome, like, realistically. And I sort of thought that in concept was good, but I wish at least they had more scenes of Ethan Hunt talking to the AI, because they have that weird scene where they talk. But
Yeah.
again, it's not even explained who created it, the motivation behind the AI. I guess it was the Russians, but like how they created it or who programmed it, who coded, right? Because at the end of the day, AI is made by humans. So, it's not like Skynet that goes crazy. And what's the character, the bad guy's character name?
Oh God.
I guess some people are calling him telenovela guy.
Yeah, he is a telenovela guy.
but
He's such a soap opera villain.
but he's such a bad villain because he has no gravitas. And again, the stakes never felt personal, even though they should have been personal. And like when he's Tom Cruise is chasing him at the end, he's like, "Haha, catch me if you can." I was like, came out of nowhere. But I don't know. I do think there's going to be another Mission Impossible, or at least a bunch of spin offs. Like the end shots kind of set it up.
Well, if Paramount wants to waste more money on spin-offs that probably won't sell, that's probably on them. But I mean, you know, No, I didn't. Yeah, it just, I don't know. The characters were really regressed from even past movies, like in an effort to bring them back. Like Haley Atwell is pretty pointless to look at. Simon Pegg is just Benji being the same old character he's
Yeah,
been in the last couple. Just nothing to really add.
and the two guys that just show up and Mantis. But even Mantis or Mantis Paris, but she's played by Mantis, right? The same
Yeah,
actress. She supposedly has a huge beef with telenovela guy, but that never gets paid off. They never fight.
no, don't.
He betrays her in the last movie, but that never gets paid off. So I don't know. I think the film is not a good conclusion to the series saga, whatever they want to call it. I think they should make at least a proper send off where the stakes are less crazy, I suppose.
I agree. I agree.
But overall, fun movie. What can I say? Tom Cruise at least makes cinematic entertainment, I suppose.
Yeah, and I give him credit. I will respect the movie a lot too because he was promoting it and he basically was avoiding questions that didn't relate to the movie. Like, this is a guy who really just loves the craft and really just wants to see it be, supported as best as possible. And if he's got to kill himself while doing it, well, I mean, I tip my hat to you.
Sure. Hey, Disney and Paramount, maybe you have to do a crossover and call it Mission Impossible Experiment 626. And yeah, I don't know. I guess hurrah to the summer season. It's finally started.
Yes, it has. And now we're going to get started. So. Yeah, you'll join us next week. We'll be watching some more movies, talking about more topics of summer. Maybe we can talk about our favorite summer blockbusters.
Ooh, that's a good one. What comes out next week?
Karate Kid Legends, which you already saw in a pre screening. So
Is that the only thing that it's coming out?
I think so. I have to double check, but I think,
That seems like it's going to bomb in the US.
I mean, let's just say Cobra Kai gave us the ending that we wanted. And
Well,
I
not
mean,
really. They still have a lot of stories to tell, but
I mean, I
it
would have
has
been happy if Cobra Kai was like the last of the Karate Kid. But again, that's just me. I haven't seen Legends yet, so.
it has a 6.6 on IMDb, and it's just 1,435 people.
Oh, really? Hmm.
Yeah, so I guess that's bad signs for the film.
Yeah, and then I guess the week after we'll pick up again when we see the new Predator movie and
That's
John Wick.
Disney Plus, right?
Yep,
And Ballerina.
yep, and Ballerina. Fun fact, actually, the one of our companies ended up working helping on the Predator movie, so it was
Oh,
pretty
cool.
cool. Yeah.
Cool. Well, it seems like another successful week, and please go to the theaters. You have a lot to choose from. If you
Hmm.
don't like Lilo and Stitch, you can still see Final Destination.
Yes, enjoy. It's a good time at the theaters right now, and there's more to come, especially in the weeks ahead.
Yeah, and stay tuned because like Marvel keeps delaying films. I'm sure more things will get delayed. And if you're still watching The Last of Us, more power to you. Enjoy the season finale. And I guess more seasons are coming because they just announced season 4. So I guess if you played the second game, have fun having that game split into Abby season 3 and Santa Clara season 4.
Yeah, that annoys me. The fact they split the second game into three seasons, like that's just
The
no.
pacing is going to be horrible.
Oh, it's already terrible. It's already terrible.
But it seems like I'm guessing the ending, right, is going to end in the theater.
Yeah,
Like I kind of guessed it, but like next season is gonna be the worst. Like it's gonna be worse than Negan not killing Glenn at the end of that season because it's going to have the same whiplash effect that people are going to be tired of the writers baiting them.
yeah,
Fun fact about the show creator, Craig Mason. Is that his name?
yeah. Craig Mason.
He directed, the parody movies?
Yeah, Scary Movie 5 and another one. Yeah, he directed that movie, if you can believe it.
Do you know superhero movie?
Oh,
The one
yes.
with Drake Bell,
Yeah.
2008, which is like a very weird remake of Spider-Man, the Sam Raimi. He wrote and directed that film.
I actually like that one, honestly.
Me
Like, I
too.
thought it was
It's the
pretty
best parody
decent.
film.
Yeah.
It's dumb, but it's the best one. But he
Yeah.
wrote and directed that one, so I guess everybody starts somewhere. But
Yeah. I mean,
you know,
he also wrote like the third Hangover movie. So,
he has such a bizarre career, like from doing these cheap comedies, Hangover, to doing something so hardcore as Chernobyl, and something as polarizing as Game of Thrones season 8.
yeah.
But I don't know. We'll see how this one ends. I just thought it was funny. I was looking at his credits. I was like, "What? He directed this random Drake Bell film?" But he did. Shout out to Drake Bell, who really loves Mexico. So um, yeah, enjoy. Anything you recommend seeing? I feel we should recommend people seeing something now.
There was a movie I saw on streaming called Identity. I think is really worth checking out with John Cusack and Ray Liotta if you're looking for something suspenseful and twisty.
Is it new?
No, it's old. It's like 20 something years old. But if you're looking at something new, I mean, the last season of Big Mouth came out today. So,
Is it ending?
yeah.
Finally.
You didn't like that show?
No, I mean I sort of feel it's been there forever. If you know
Yeah,
what I mean.
it's a Netflix staple, that's for sure.
Oh man, another Netflix show ending. Feel bad for them.
I don't.
Um, I mean, I feel bad for them in well, that's not true. They should let people share their password again.
Yeah.
Come on, Netflix, do the right thing. You know that's how people grew. That's how people trended your shows. Do the right thing. Kids go to college. Come on, man.
I'd pay to.
Um,
I'd see that.
I'm going to recommend an independent film called Snack Shack,
Snack Chat. Oh, okay.
directed by Adam Ramhire, starring Gabrielle Lavelle, young Steven Spielberg. It's a coming of age film shot in Nebraska. I saw it because I saw a clip, and I think it's set up in the 90s, so it has that retro nostalgic look. It's about it's about a summer, a guy trying to get a girl, kind of very stereotypical coming of age, but sometimes those are really fun. So that's my recommendation. I wanted to ask you one last thing. Andor, should people watch it? Yes, no, now that it has ended.
Yes. No. 100%. I recommend people watch it if you want the best Star Wars trilogy experience. Start with one and two, and then go straight into Rogue One. It improves upon it. This is pretty much how good Disney Star Wars will get.
Oh
So
boy.
yeah, no pressure.
Okay. You want to sign us off, my friend? We're almost at an hour.
Sounds good. Yeah, he's Andres Ramirez. I'm Zach Houston. You can follow us on our socials, the Zach Houston and Jaro2096 or below the line underscore 2025. Give us a listen on Spotify, listen to us on YouTube, wherever you feel is convenient. So take it easy and have a great day wherever you are.
Yes, sir. And with that all, thank you for joining us. Bye bye. Bye,
Bye.
Zach.